Welcome back to the deep dive. If you've been following along, you know we've been exploring some really deep ideas about God's nature.
That's right. We talked about those three levels of understanding from last time.
Exactly. How people see God differently, but ultimately, the highest view is that, well, only the eternal reality, Brahman, is truly real.
And the world we experience. An illusion resting upon it.
Right. So today, we want to move on from those perspectives and really tackle a logical puzzle. It comes up in the source material, specifically Gita chapter 9, verses 5 and 6.
Ah, yes, those verses. They definitely present a challenge.
So our mission today is pretty clear. Let's dig into this relationship between the creator and the creation. We need to find what the text calls the correct understanding.
Correct. We need to figure out how these statements, which seem to completely contradict each other, can actually fit together.
Yeah, what's the central riddle we're trying to solve here?
Well, it's this. How can the Creator contain everything? The text says, all beings are in me. Simple enough, maybe? But then, in the very next breath, it says, I am not in them.
Wait, what? How does that work?
And it gets even trickier, because then it follows up with, essentially, and those beings are not in me either.
Okay, hold on. That sounds impossible. The universe is in God, but God isn't in the universe, and the universe isn't in God.
Exactly. It makes you scratch your head, doesn't it? Where's the logic?
Yeah, where's the logic?
Okay.
We need some ground rules here. What is this relationship not?
Good place to start. It's definitely not like, say, a baker and the bread they bake.
Right, because the bread becomes a separate thing from the baker.
Precisely. Or even a spider and its web. Even though the web comes from the spider, it's still treated as something distinct, another substance, you could say.
So those analogies fail because they assume two separate substances.
That's the key. They imply two things, but the foundation here is totally different. There is only one substance.
And that substance is?
Brahman. The formless, nameless, conscious principle. No second thing exists alongside it.
Okay, so only Brahman. Where does creation fit in then?
Creation, everything you see, hear, touch, is purely name and form. It has no substance of its own. Zero.
So my desk, this microphone, the air, they don't have their own independent substance. They're just names and forms.
Names and forms of Brahman. Think of it like waves on the ocean. Are the waves separate from the water?
No, they are the water, just temporarily taking a specific shape, a form.
Exactly. And when we use the word God in this context, we mean Brahman plus all these names and forms and attributes. So God, by definition, includes the entire creation.
Oh, okay. So God isn't separate from the universe. God is the substance appearing as the universe.
You've got it. Everything is just a name and form of that single substance, God.
That solves the two substances problem. But, I mean, the universe feels pretty substantial. It feels real. Why? If it has no substance of its own.
Well, that's the power of this manifestation, the power of illusion, which we sometimes call Maya. And to really grasp this, the clay and pot analogy is incredibly helpful.
Okay, the clay and the pot. How does that help with those contradictory statements?
It lets us unpack them one by one. Let's take statement one. All pots are with me, meaning in the clay.
Right, that seems straightforward. Pots are made of clay. They can't exist without it.
The logic is dependency. Pots absolutely depend on clay. Take away the clay. No pot.
So, applied to the bigger picture. The universe utterly depends on God. No God, no universe. The creation needs the creator. Makes sense.
Perfect. Now, statement two. I am not with the pots. The clay says, I am not in the pots.
Okay. How does that work?
This establishes the creator's independence. Does the clay need the pots to exist?
No, not at all. You could smash all the pots and you'd still just have a lump of clay. The clay remains.
Precisely. The clay doesn't depend on the pots for its existence. The pots borrow their existence, their isness, from the clay.
I see. So the pot being comes entirely from the clay, but the clay's being is inherent. He doesn't need the pot.
Right. So God doesn't depend on the universe. The universe borrows its existence, its entire isness, from God.
Okay, that covers the first two. God supports the universe, statement one, but God isn't dependent on the universe, statement two. But what about that third one? That's the kicker.
Statement three. Pots are not with me. The clay says the pots aren't even in it.
But they are in it. They're made of it. How can the clay say they aren't there?
This is where we have to understand the nature of reality itself. Since the pots are only clay, just name and form, do they have a truly independent existence as pots?
Well, no. They're just clay shaped like a pot.
Yeah.
The potness isn't a separate thing.
Exactly. It's like a reflection in a mirror. Does the reflection have its own reality apart from the mirror and the object being reflected?
No, it's dependent. It seems real, but it isn't substantially real on its own.
That's the insight. The entire universe, like the pot, belongs to a lower order of reality.
A lower order.
Like,
Like a dream.
the dream analogy is perfect here. When you're dreaming, everything feels real, right? People, places, events.
Totally real.
But when you wake up, where did that dream world go? Did it have any substance independent of your dreaming mind?
No, it vanished. It was just mind stuff, an appearance.
So the creator is like the waking consciousness. And the entire universe we perceive, it's like the dream of God. It's an illusion, dependent entirely on the creator's consciousness.
Wow. Okay. So because the universe is like a dream, a lower reality?
The creator, the waker, can legitimately say the creation is not in me. Just like the events in your dream don't actually affect you, the waker.
That's profound. It completely reframes how we think about real. It's not just real or not real.
Exactly. We need 3 categories to make sense of this. It forces us to define reality more precisely.
Okay, what are the 3 categories?
First, there's the real, capital R, that which truly exists always without change. This is only God, Brahman, the underlying substance. We experience it constantly as existence itself, but often don't recognize it.
Okay, the unchanging substratum. Got it. What's second?
Second is the false, capital F, that which does not exist and can never be experienced. The classic example is a rabbit's horn or the child of a barren woman, pure non-existence.
Right, impossible concept. So, real, false. What's the third?
The third is the crucial one, illusion, capital I, that which does not have independent existence but is available for experience.
Ah, and that's where the universe fits in.
That's the entire universe. It's not real, capital R, because if you analyze it down to its substance, it disappears into Brahman. But it's not false, capital F, because, well, we're obviously experiencing it right now.
So it seems real, we experience it, but it doesn't have ultimate independent reality, like the dream or the reflection or the pot.
Precisely. It's an appearance resting on the real.
This makes the language we use really important, doesn't it? Maybe creation isn't even the best word.
You're absolutely right. Creation implies making something separate. A better word is manifestation.
Like the clay doesn't create a pot, it manifests as a pot.
Exactly. God isn't manufacturing a universe separate from himself. God is the substance, the reality that is appearing, manifesting as all these names and forms. God is the name behind all names, the form containing all forms.
Okay, so the universe is this manifestation resting on God, experienced but illusory. Let's nail down the creator's nature in this relationship. You mentioned 3 unique features.
Yes, 3 features that highlight how the creator, God, Brahman with the power of illusion, relates to the creation, the universe, the manifestation. These really solidify the creator's transcendence despite supporting everything. Let's use another analogy, space and air.
Okay, space and air, what's the first feature?
Feature 1, God is unattached. The universe is the gross form of God. Nothing exists outside God, yet God is fundamentally beyond the universe. God exists before the universe manifests and after it dissolves.
Like space. Air exists within space, depends on it.
Right. Air needs space. But does space need air?
No. Space is there whether there's air in it or not. It's unattached to the air's presence or absence.
Exactly. God is unattached to the coming and going of the universal manifestation.
Okay. Unattached, what's next?
Feature 2. God is unaffected. Even though the whole universe is happening within God, God isn't tainted or affected by the qualities or problems of the universe.
How does the space and air analogy work here?
Well, imagine the air gets polluted, full of smoke, dust, whatever. Does that pollution affect the space itself?
No. The space remains pure, clear. The pollution is in the space, but doesn't change the nature of the space.
Precisely. So all the problems, the suffering, the chaos we see in the world that belongs to the air, the manifestation, it doesn't touch the underlying space, the reality of God.
Wait a second. If the space is unaffected by polluted air, does that mean things like our actions, our good deeds, bad deeds, our spiritual efforts?
Yeah.
Are they just changing the air? They don't actually change or affect God, the space.
That's a very sharp question. Fundamentally, yes. You can't improve or change the ultimate reality, Brahman, which is already perfect and complete. Spiritual practice is about purifying the air, our mind, our perception, so we stop identifying with the changing, limited air and recognize our true nature as the vast, unaffected space. It's a shift in identification.
That's significant. Okay. Unattached, unaffected. What's the third feature?
Feature 3. God is unchanging. The universe is in constant flux. Everything is always changing, coming into being, existing for a while, decaying, disappearing. But God, the substratum, remains absolutely constant, immutable,
Like space again. The air moves, swirls, forms winds, calms down.
Yeah.
But the space itself doesn't move. It's the unchanging container for all that activity.
Perfectly put. The space allows for all movement, but is itself unmoving. God allows for all change, but is himself unchanging.
Unattached, unaffected, unchanging.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
that paints a very clear picture of this relationship. So let's bring it home. We've gone through this logical puzzle, resolved the contradictions using the idea of manifestation in different orders of reality. What does this mean for us, for you listening right now? How should understanding this change how we interact with the world?
It has very practical implications. It's not about suddenly seeing the world disappear or becoming totally indifferent in a negative way. The key is understanding where true value lies. You can think of the mirage metaphor.
The mirage in the desert.
Okay. You're in the desert. You see water shimmering in the distance. Your eyes perceive water. Now, if you know it's a mirage...
I still see it, but I know it's not real water. I won't run towards it expecting to drink.
Exactly. You still perceive the appearance, but the knowledge changes your reaction and your investment. You understand it's illusory. It can't quench your thirst.
So applying that, we still perceive the world's success, failure, joy, sorrow. These experiences happen within the manifestation.
Yes, the experiences continue. But if you understand the world's ultimate nature, that it's like the mirage, an appearance without independent substance, names, and forms on the one reality, you stop seeking ultimate fulfillment, lasting peace, absolute security from the things within the world.
Because you know those things are like the mirage water. They appear satisfying, but being transient names and forms, they can't provide permanent security or happiness.
Precisely. You recognize that those things belong to the pot, the dream, the air, the mirage. They are temporary manifestations.
So the practical shift is, what? Where do we look?
You stop running towards the world of objects hoping they will provide lasting peace. You understand that true lasting peace and security can only be found in the source, the substance, the clay, the waker, the space, the real.
So knowledge leads to a redirection of seeking, from the outward manifestation to the inward reality.
That's the core application, turning the attention towards the unchanging source of existence rather than getting lost chasing fulfillment in its temporary appearances.
It brings us back to those verses, doesn't it? That seemingly impossible paradox.
It does. The Creator supports everything. All beings are in me, like space supports the air.
But remains completely aloof and unaffected. I'm not in them. Like space is unaffected by the air's pollution or movement.
And ultimately, the beings, being mere appearances, beings not in me, don't affect the fundamental reality, just as the dream doesn't affect the waker. The final analogy used in the text itself is powerful. The mighty wind blowing everywhere always rests in space.
The wind moving everywhere, but always contained within and dependent upon the unmoving, unaffected space. That's a beautiful image to tie it all together.
It perfectly captures that relationship of dependence without dependence, of support without attachment.
Okay, so here's the final thought for you to really mull over, stemming from this deep dive. If this entire universe you experience every sight, sound, feeling, every worry, every goal, is essentially the dream of God, a manifestation on a lower order of reality. What does that realization actually mean for your immediate concerns right now? Are you fundamentally investing your sense of well-being in the shifting patterns of the dream, the arrangement of the pots? Or are you starting to look towards the constancy of the dreamer, the substance of the clay? Think about the power of illusion.
A powerful question to sit with.
Absolutely. Explore that. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.